Welcome. This is the Library and Learning Resources presentation this morning. We're going to welcome you to the library and all of our different spaces and our services. My name is Kate and I'm one of the Learning and Research Librarians here at Canterbury Christ Church. And today I'm joined by a host of colleagues. So my co-host for the day is Gaynor, who's one of our learning developers. We'll have Gaynor on camera shortly and say hello. And we've also got some of our team here to help with the Q&A, the question and answer session that we'll be doing a little bit later. So we've got my colleagues, David, Jane and Ben joining us behind the scenes as well. So lots of people here this morning to help you navigate the library and learning resources offer and to answer your questions as we go through our presentation as well. Now, you may have seen on the live screen here, we've got a presentation live and it says you can join at menti.com. We're using Mentimeter software to do some interactive bits and pieces this morning. So you can join us on maybe a separate device if you want to. You can go to menti.com, that's menti.com, and then use the code that you can see on the screen there, which is 69757292. Or you might be watching in a lecture theatre and you might want to put your phone up and use the QR code there to join the presentation that way. So that's joining us at menti.com and using the code 69757292, or scan that QR code and head to the same place. We're going to be doing some interactive bits and pieces using our presentation as we go along this morning. Whilst you're all getting the Menti presentation set up, what we're going to do in this presentation is introduce you to our libraries, so the spaces, the facilities, the services, the people in those libraries, and we're going to talk about the Canterbury Campus Library and the Medway Campus Library, and we'll mention our third library as well over at Tunbridge Wells. I'm very much going to focus on what we've got for you, why you would want to use the library and how you can make the best use of everything we have available to you. Once we've done our presentation, we will open our question and answer session, the Q&A session, and you can post your questions for us. And as I said, my lovely team this morning will be answering those questions for you. Okay, I'm hoping lots of you have been able to join the Menti presentation now. I'll just give that little bit of extra minute or so just so you can do the last adding in of the code or scanning that QR code. Okay, so our live presentation, we're going to start with a bit of interactivity. And what we want to find out is, have you used libraries before? I'm going to suspect that quite a few might have done. If you haven't, it doesn't matter at all. That's why we're here to talk you through our services today. Well, lots of responses coming in here. I'm just going to talk through these as they come live onto the screen. So we've got lots of people using public libraries. Excellent, fabulous resource. Lots of people using a school library. That's fab news. It's good to see that school libraries are still alive and well and people have been using them. Some people have used university libraries before. That's good. They're probably all ever so slightly different, even though we're all called university libraries. So make sure you find out about our one today. See what differences there are to the ones you've used before. A few people have used other libraries. Other libraries could be things like a mobile library. You could have a library at your workplace, like a hospital library. Things like that. And some people who haven't used a library before, that's absolutely fine. Welcome, welcome if this is your first library. So I'm really pleased to see the amount of people that are using libraries. As a librarian, this is fantastic. Public libraries way up there at the top. Brilliant, brilliant. Excellent. So I'm just going to let you keep doing some of your replies there as we see. This is brilliant. So as I said, wherever you are in your journey with libraries, whether you've used one, lots or none before, we're going to talk you through everything we've got at the Canterbury Christ Church libraries, so that you feel happy to go into the buildings, that you feel you've got some knowledge to go in and start your search for information. So this is amazing. Everyone's been using libraries. This is beautiful. Okay, so what we're going to cover in this session is a range of different information. And you can see from the next slide here that we'll be going to cover sort of the why you could use our library services. Why would you want to come and engage with the library at Canterbury Christ Church? We're going to talk to you about what we've got in the library. So what the spaces are, what resources live in the building. And when I say the word resources, I mean things like the books and stuff like that live in the library. We'll talk about all the different services, because the services in an academic library might be different to those that you've experienced in the public library or the school library. And we'll talk a lot about the people who you can support you, because the library, as well as having resources that maybe live on shelves or live online, we've also got lots of people here who can happily come and help you as well. So we offer lots of different support. Now, I'm going to introduce you to my colleague Gaynor in a second. She's going to come and talk to you about the first of these things, about why you might want to use your library services. So Gaynor might want to introduce herself before we begin. Okay, but here's Gaynor, and we're just going to share the first slide.
Thanks, Kate. Good morning, everyone. Hello, it's lovely to be here with you. I'm Gaynor. I'm one of the learning developers. So I'm joining Kate this morning to introduce you to library services. So firstly, I'm going to think about why use your library services. So why should you use them? Well, when we've surveyed our students, they tell us there are many benefits to using and visiting the library. So firstly, the library is a great place to get really good quality resources for all of your assignments and all the work that you're doing for your courses. And you'll find that the libraries have spaces that allow you to choose how you study. So you'll all have different approaches to study and thinking about, how do you like to work and how do you like to study? That's another great reason. And you'll also find that once you get going and start using library services, that there are lots of really friendly staff in all the libraries to help you and to offer you that guidance that you often need. Okay, you'll also find, aside from study, that you can relax in our library spaces. So if you've had a chance to visit Augustine House already, the library in Canterbury, you'll notice that there are puzzles and games, and there's also reading books for pleasure, also a DVD collection as well. So if you want to have a break from studying, there's lots of resources available for you in the library space. And as well as all of that, there's the Learning Skills Online Hub, which the learning and research librarians and learning developers from the Learning Skills team have created. So there's lots of skills and advice here to help you achieve success and to enjoy your time while you're at the university. Also, there's a fantastic bookshop which has got a range of everything from textbooks to branded hoodies. There's also the highly sought after CCCU teddy bear mascot as well, and diaries and planners and much more, cards, that sort of thing that you can buy while you're in the bookshop. Okay, so the library at Christ Church offers you more than just books, as I've been outlining. You can focus on your studies there. You can start to become a member of the, the academic community that you're part of. It gives you a chance to connect with your peers, to engage with your studies, to make contact with other library services as well, and just basically to develop connections in your time here as a student. So I've outlined there why use your library services. So we're going to think about start to think about making sure that you've got everything that you need to be able to access and use the library. So that's both thinking as the libraries as physical space, and then also thinking about digital literacy as well. So in terms of accessing the library space, you have your student ID card, which was created during registration, so hopefully you've got that, but don't worry if you haven't got that yet. You can talk to colleagues at the iZone who'll be able to help you out with that, but you need that student ID card to allow you to borrow books from the library, also to use the printing facilities and to gain access to the buildings as well. So that student ID card is going to be really important for you. Now you also need the computing account to be able to access all of the digital resources. There's a whole range of both hard copy resources and also electronic resources as well. So there are ebooks, so you need your CCCU computing account to be able to do that. So if you've got these two things ready as you get going and we start teaching week next week, that's going to make your journey here much smoother. But as I say, if you've had any worries about obtaining your ID card or getting into your computing account, then do please make contact with colleagues at the iZone. So once you've got all of these items, where will this lead you? Okay, so thinking about our different library. So you can see here some lovely images of the 3 libraries at Canterbury Christ Church University. So you'll see that the 3 libraries are tailored to the different students who use the different campuses. Okay, so our focus here today is primarily on Canterbury and Medway. So as you see here, the image of Augustine House. So you can access Augustine House. It's over towards Canterbury Station. So and also the bus station is across the road as well from the Augustine House building as well. And it's easily walkable from campus as well. And as well as Augustine House and the Drill Hall Library over at Medway, there is also the library over at Tunbridge Wells at the Salomons campus, which you can see here on the images. Okay, so the library over at Tunbridge Wells is a specialist collection, but if you live over towards West Kent, or perhaps if you're on placement nearby, you might want to access this library as well. So each of the libraries have within them a library point and a help desk as well. So there's loads of different help available. Also important to note that over at the Medway campus, the library uses the term help desk rather than over at Augustine House. We tend to talk about the library point, but help is available at both of those, at the desk or the library point. So now, Kate, I'm going to hand back to Kate, who's going to talk a little bit about what's in our libraries.
Thank you, Gaynor. So as now you know where the buildings are, we're going to think about what's inside them. So we have lots of resources available to you to help you with your assignments and learning all about your subject areas. We've got the traditional thing that we think of in terms of libraries, and that's books. Lots and lots of books in the building. We have books that are sort of, theory books, so learning about your subject. We have got fiction books as well. So we've got all those things in the building for you to borrow. Books can go out for a week, 4 weeks, depending on which book you pick up off the shelf. And we don't charge fines, so we automatically renew your books. If nobody else wants them, we'll automatically renew them and you can bring them back when you're ready. So we have lots of books available to you, and they're in all the different libraries. So every library has books. They have books associated with the subjects taught at that particular campus. So hence Gaynor saying that the Tunbridge Wells Library has a specialist collection over there. They teach particular subjects. We have lots of media items as well. We have some video games that can be borrowed. We've got, as Gaynor said, some DVDs still. We've also got, I think still, there might be the odd CD hanging around still. But one of the other things we have that you'll definitely need for academic study is journals. Sometimes we could call these kind of academic magazines. If you recognise names like the British Medical Journal, things like that, the Nursing Times, etc. These are all kind of journals that you would read to find out about your subject area, and we have lots and lots of those in the building. Particularly in Augustine House, you will find sort of the art related journals, so you can go and see the images and things in those. So books in the library, different media items, lots of journals which you'll become more familiar with as you go through your studies. But we've also got some specialist collections. So for our sort of trainee teachers, they're all busy learning to do lesson plans and find out what will engage children. And we have a specialist collection called Curriculum Resources. And in there are lots of materials that teachers might use to inspire their lesson planning or to take out when they go out on placement and use with children in the classroom. So we have a Curriculum Resources collection. We've also got, particularly used by our humanities students, we've got an archives and special collections collection as well. So lots of different things that you might come and use during your excuse me, studies. You might come and investigate one of the special collections, maybe write blog posts about it, things like that. So lots of material that you'll use to find out about your subject area, to produce your assignments, and that you can come and get involved in as well. We also have or do lots of displays throughout the year for all sorts of different things going on. At the moment in Augustine House, we've got one about study skills, so getting up to speed at the start of your course with different study skills. So you'll find us putting on different displays throughout the year in all the libraries, and that will showcase many of the resources that we have for you. We've got loads of other stuff as well. We've got magazines, we've got audio books, lots of different things, and I'll talk about those in a bit more detail in a minute. In terms of our collections, if you think, oh, I wonder why they haven't got this book, or I think they should really have this book, we have an option where you can suggest a book to us as well, and we will go off and see if we can purchase something like that. So lots of ways for you to get involved in the collection. But one of the really important things to tell you about is that what you find in our library buildings is just the tip of the iceberg. It's just the bit you can see when you're walking along the different floors and you can see things on the shelves. We also have a huge amount of material that lives in our digital library. And at Canterbury Christ Church, we call our digital library Library Search. And it says what it does on the tin, thankfully. So Library Search is the website that you will all be able to go to access our digital library, and you will also use it to find out what lives on the shelves in the libraries that you can go and borrow and things like that. So Library Search is the gateway to all things library, whether it's finding something that sits on the shelf or using our online collections. And our online collections are vast. In there, we've got ebooks, we've got online journal articles, we've got things like x-rays, we've got some documentary streaming services, got image databases, newspaper archives, collections of great works of art that you can view the images online. We've got audiobooks, we've got plays. I could go on and on and on. There's a 3D anatomy and physiology resource. All sorts of things live in that digital library. So the library building is great, and there's lots of stuff in there. You've also got the digital library as well. And you'll discover more about the digital library as you go through your courses and start to use all sorts of different material that's been recommended for you. Now, it can be quite overwhelming to think, oh my goodness, there's a building full of books and there's this online thing as well. How do I know which things are going to be useful for me? Well, your learning and research librarians like me have put together subject guides for you. So a little online list of the really important stuff that you might want to go and discover for your subject area. So there's guidance there to get you started, what to look at, where to start. We'll post the link for the subject guides once we open our Q&A, but there's one in there written by a librarian to help guide you looking for information in these early days. So library search is going to be really important. We've talked about the books that are on the shelf, the resources on the shelves. We've talked about library search and the fact that there's a huge digital library. What we're going to talk about now is some of the spaces in the library. So when you turn up in the building, where can you go and read those books? Where can you sit down and access the online library? So we're going to have a quick think about spaces in the building. Now, our buildings are large buildings. You may never have been in a library the size of our buildings before. At Canterbury, we tend to go up. We've got 4 floors. At the Drill Hall Library, it's a very long building. And it's full of books, and it's full of resources, and it's full of tables and chairs and desks and all sorts of things. But we have lots of different study zones available for you, because you'll probably all study in your own preferred ways. Some of you might want to come in and work in total silence, just tapping away or reading. So you can do that. We have silent spaces in our libraries. But not everybody wants to study in silence. Some people like a little bit of a buzz around them. They like to be able to maybe work with a buddy, or you might get a study group going and you want to meet together. we have spaces for that as well. So we have collaborative spaces. So you can choose between those when you come into the buildings. Do I want to sit with my group today? Do I just want to go and get some peace and quiet and get these paragraphs written? We've got spaces for all that sort of thing. We've got group study rooms that you can book. So you might end up with an assignment where you've got to do some group work and produce a presentation in that group. So we've got spaces where you can come and do that together with the big screens, with the chairs, with whiteboards, and in a little group study room so you can practice presenting, all that sort of thing. So we've got those different things. There are some rules about using the library, mainly just be respectful of the other people studying around you. If you can see someone studying in a silent area, don't go and have a party next to them. The library staff will be able to come and deal with anything that may be seen as slightly excessive behaviour in the library. So we have people who will come out and monitor, keep an eye on those quiet spaces or silent spaces. In addition to the actual zones, we've got height adjustable desks, we've got sofas or little study pods that you can use. You can, as I said, book those group study rooms, and in the library spaces, you can obviously have your cup of coffee, your slice of cake, whatever keeps you going for the morning. So you can do all that sort of thing in the library space. The only thing you can't really do in the library space is have a nice pizza delivered and sit down and have a nice hot meal, because you just make all the librarians jealous. We tend to keep all that stuff outside in our cafes, which we'll tell you more about as we go on. So lots of different study zones in the library, whether you're coming in to read quietly, whether you want to come in and type up an essay, anything like that. Lots of different spaces that you can use. So when you get the chance, come over and explore the building and see what suits you. So as well as the resources and the types of study zones you can use, there are all sorts of facilities as well. So I'm just going to hand back to Gaynor, and Gaynor's going to talk to you about the facilities in our different libraries.
Thanks, Kate. Yeah, so thinking about the different facilities, so there's all of the resources and the study spaces that Kate's talked to you about. There are other services and facilities in the library building. So the library building is a flexible space. So the idea being that you can move from your study and your research to maybe, going to get a cup of coffee or some water. You might be meeting up with some friends in the library, or you might want to join a student union event or any other events that are going on. So there's lots of activities that take place within the library buildings. You'll also find in the library facilities that will allow you to charge all of your devices. So that's really important, isn't it? Being able to keep your phones and laptops charged up. So look out for those different facilities that allow you to charge. And also different, as Kate said, all the different in the different study zones, different types of configurations of desks and chairs. So, when you visit the library, have a look round and see, where would you like to study and what's going to be comfortable for you. So, and that might depend on the different tasks that you're doing. And it's important as well, really, as a student and as anybody, working on a screen all day, to take breaks away from the screen. So that's why, we'd say take a break, maybe go and get a coffee, cup of tea, have a walk around the building as well. So if you were in Augustine House and say you were working downstairs and you want a little bit of a break, you might have a little walk up to the Stressless area, which is on the second floor. And there you'll find all the different games and crafts that are available for you to use. So do go and investigate and have a look around. And the facilities at each of the sites are slightly different because we like to work with students to ensure that the different services across the campus are really available for what students at each of the different sites need. So there's lots available for you. So do start having a look and exploring the library spaces. So having thought about, what's on offer, the resources, the zones, the facilities, we'd like to know just a little bit more about you. So we wanted to ask, what are you studying? So we'd love to hear from you. What are you studying? Now, in my role as a learning developer, I work with students studying courses in creative arts and industries, humanities and languages. And so I know from, I've met some of you this week, I know some of you are here today, but it'd be lovely to hear what everyone's studying. So we can see on the Menti, creating a lovely word cloud of all the different subject areas. Okay, I can see child nursing, games design, yeah, hi. Law of criminology. We've got students studying on the foundation, our theology students as well. Okay. Right, so occupational therapy. So I can see from looking at this, we've got students from right across the three faculties. Nursing, business, yeah. Forensic investigation as well. So a huge range of subject areas that you're all studying. Okay, radiography. Right. So I think must be quite big groups of health. So our word clouds, the biggest word I think tends to be the one where we've got the most people, but I can see others from creative arts and industry. So it was lovely to meet some of you yesterday at the Scandi Welcome Fair. Okay. Right, it's still moving as you all add your subject area. So we've got students from creative writing as well. Paramedics as well. Mental health nursing. So I think that's everybody now. It's the word cloud then. Oh no, it starts moving again. Right, so we've got 152, 54. Hi, that's lovely. So there's a whole range of you joining us at this welcome event. So thank you. It's lovely to hear about what you're studying, and myself and Kate will be no doubt meeting some of you as the weeks go by. So thinking with that in mind, thinking about Kate and I, what our roles are, is we're part of the learning skills team. So you can see this image here on the slide. This is the learning skills team, and you can see the different faculty areas and the different members of the team. So all of the images of everyone in the team. So we're a whole team of people who work with you. We work with your tutors as well to support you. So we support all the different courses across the university. So you've probably already met perhaps, or you will be meeting over the next few weeks, the members of the learning skills team who work with your course. So as I say, you can see there we've got members of the team who work across arts, humanities and education, and then we've got science, engineering and social sciences, and then the Faculty of Medicine, Health and Social Care, and then the Medway courses. Okay, so we've got learning research librarians and learning developers. So we support you in developing all of those academic skills and research skills that are really important for you to support you in being successful at university and for enjoying your time at university as well. So we often pop up in your lectures and seminars. We come along and work with you, as I say, in your teaching time, and we're also available for you you can come along and meet the learning developers and the learning and research librarians in individual tutorials. And so we'll be able to show you through our learning skills hub when we meet with you how you can book individual tutorials with us. So you can meet us either on campus or you can meet us online via Teams. So again, that really depends on whatever's going to work with you, you know, in terms of your schedule as well. So the other aspect of the learning skills team as well is the learning skills hubs. That's a whole collection of resources and materials which will help you and support you in developing all those academic skills as you work through your course. So the link will be available to you in the questions in a few moments. So you'll be able to access the hub and explore it and really see what's going to be useful for you. So there's resources there on things like planning assignments and thinking about using library search as well, managing time as a student, because that's a really important aspect of what you're doing as a student. So there's loads of support and help available from the learning skills team. So I'm just going to pass over to Kate now, who's going to talk to you a little bit about the bookshop.
Thank you, Gaynor. We mentioned the bookshop a little while back in the presentation, but we're just going to give it its own moment now. The bookshop is located on the Canterbury campus. The physical bookshop is located on the Canterbury campus. If you haven't discovered it yet, it's near the little duck pond and one of the touchdown cafes. But they do offer a delivery service up to Medway. So we do obviously bring our collections up to Medway. So the Canterbury campus bookshop, but delivering up to Medway. As we've mentioned before, there's books, there's clothing, there's gifts, there's stationery. They run a price match promise as well with some of the bigger online retailers. But the bookshop is really important, and it's really at the heart of the campus, right in the middle of it at Canterbury. And you might be thinking, well, why do I need a bookshop if I've got a library? Well, sometimes you might just want to read anything other than an academic textbook. You might want to go and buy a gift for someone, or you might want to go, oh, that's that new text out. I really want to read that. I haven't read that story yet. But also for your courses, you might find there's the odd textbook that actually you want your own copy of. You want your own copy, so it's always next to you and you can write notes all over it and stick post-it notes all over it, however best you study. I know for the subjects that I support, so I support medicine, health and social care, I know lots of the students like to have an anatomy and physiology textbook because they can write all over and it helps them remember which bone is where and which muscle is where and things like that. So you might want your own copy of a textbook, and the bookshop can help you out with that. So they're available, as I said, they're on the website as well, so you can see their collections on there. So the bookshop is available to all of you to use. Now, other things connected to the library, but you might not have realised this so far, we also are together with the iZone. You may have had contact with the iZone already. You may have seen them mentioned in any of the communications that have come from the university so far as well. They are a student help desk, and they have actual physical desks in the library building at Canterbury. So they have a desk in the Augustine House library building. They also have a desk in the Verena Homes building on the North Holmes Road bit of the campus. If you've been there so far, you may have seen them. And they also have a desk up at Medway in the Cathedral Court building. So there are locations where you can go physically and see someone at the iZone desk, but they've also got lots and lots of contact points online. They've got online frequently asked questions lists. They've got, you can email them and things like that. So we've got some contact details for you coming up. But if you need to ask something about smart cards or maybe computing accounts or something you think, oh, I don't know where to go with this at university, I don't know who to ask, the people to ask are the iZone. They will either answer your question or they will go, do you know what, we need to put you in touch with whoever it is and they'll be able to help you with your inquiry. So they will either answer your question or get you to someone who can. So they're a really important service, the iZone. As I said, physical locations, so they've got desks in the campus buildings, and they've also got lots sorts of support online as well. So libraries, bookshops, the iZone people, quite a bit of information. What next, basically? Well, having been here for a few years, these are some recommended next steps in your Christ Church library journey. The first one that we would recommend is to maybe take a tour of the library. So your tutor may have booked one of those for you, and they'll tell you about when they look at the timetables with you if they've scheduled one. So you may have a scheduled tour of the library, but you can also come over to the library and do a self-directed tour as well. Take yourself around the building, look at all the different facilities that we've talked about, work out what study spaces you really like. We'd also recommend exploring the online resources. So as I said in the Q&A, we'll give you the link to the subject guide, which will sort of get you started with your subject area. And one of the next steps is to meet people like Gaynor and myself in your actual modules, in your timetabled sessions as they happen. So your lecturers will have booked us in to come and meet you at different points in the journey when you need to sort of really get to grips with some library skills or some particular types of study skills. And so you'll meet the team in those as well. So when we come in to meet you in your modules, it won't be going over the same information we've talked to you about today. We'll be on to newer stuff, getting you working with the library collections. So those are the next steps that we recommend. And I did promise some contact details. So here's some contact details here. There's a web link at the very end of this list, and we'll put that in the Q&A as well, which will link you to all these particular details again. So you can contact the Augustine House Library. We've obviously got an email and a phone as well. The Drill Hall Library as well. The Salomons Library details. Salomons was the one over in West Kent, Tunbridge Wells. The iZone people, and of course our web pages hold lots and lots of information about all of our services. So lots of key contacts there. And one of the things we'd like you to take away from today is that if you have a question about the library, or you find yourself over in the library and you're not sure what to do, you're not sure which bit of the library to go to or how something works, just ask, just get in contact with us. We have library people who sit on a desk in the building as well. You don't have to just start emailing us. There's people in the building that can help. But that's really important to us, to make sure that you know you can just come and ask us for help. That's why we're there. So key contacts, and as I said, we'll pop that link up into the Q&A chat in a minute. Talking of the Q&A, what we're going to do now is we're going to open the Q&A so that you can post your questions. And the Q&A itself is happening in the Teams space. So not on Mentimeter, it's happening in the Teams space. So if you need to, you can head back to the Teams screen and you might see a little kind of two little speech bubbles with a question mark in them. If you click on that, that should open the Q&A panel. And you can post a question in there. Try not to post anything that's, personal details, no usernames or passwords or student ID numbers or anything like that. Just you're welcome to ask us any questions about the library and our services. And the wonderful team here, so myself, Gaynor, and I've got David, I've got Jane, and I've got Ben with me. So they will pitch in and help answer all those questions for you. So I'll talk through some of those questions as we go along. What we'll do is we'll answer everything that you ask us today before we close the session down. So keep posting your questions. If you are in a lecture theatre and your lecturer has got the Teams Q&A up on the big screen, you might have to channel your questions to them and they can type them in or something like that on the Q&A panel. We've got some questions coming in here now. So. Okay, so we've got our links posted. Our links have been posted. So we've got a link to the library website, a link to that library search tool, which was accessing the digital library. And we've also got the link to the subject guides. They've gone up already in the Q&A panel. So as I said, the subject guides just give you sort of a springboard to our collection. So where you might want to start, what sort of particular things you might want to look at. So those are up there now. And also the link to the Learning Skills Hub as well is up there. So got lots of things going into the chat panel. Oh, and the bookshop as well. We posted the bookshop as well. So we've got some questions coming in. The team will be answering those as we go along, and I'll give some other answers to those as well. I'll talk through some of them. Okay, the last main link we've put in there, we've added the iZone link, the FAQs, so the frequently asked questions list as well. So you never know, if you've got a burning question that you think, oh, I need to ask the iZone, that it might feature in their frequently asked questions list. So someone has asked, is this being recorded so we can refer back to this? Yes, it is. We're live recording at the moment, and what we will do, or what you can do, is you can either go back to the link for this session that you were given, possibly in your timetable, and to access the recording from there. But we're also going to put a copy, so a recording up on the Welcome Hub for everybody to see, so you can go back to it that way. So the same link that brought you here can be used to view the recording, and we're also going to pop a copy on the Welcome Hub as well on the web pages. Okay, so some other things that have come in on lots of different questions coming on. Yeah, we've currently got some questions about, or there's some about opening hours. I'm going to let someone pop a link in there in a minute, but I'm going to talk about the opening hour business. So someone's put, what time does the library close? Our libraries have slightly different times of opening and closing. So the 3 libraries have slightly different times. Everything's on the website, and we'll pop the link up for that in a second. But I'll talk a little bit about the opening hours. So we're open till late at night, particularly in Canterbury, the Augustine House Library is open till sort of 1 in the morning. So if you are a night owl, you could be in there studying at midnight. There won't be any librarians there at that time. We're all tucked up safely in bed, but all the security staff will be there then. So you're not in there on your own. We have different opening hours throughout the year as well. When we get to sort of exam times, submitting lots of assignments, the sort of peak times of the year, we usually open 24 hours a day as well. And we'll give you lots of warning of that. So you'll get student communications coming out and things on the social media that tell you that we're opening for some slightly different hours. So lots and lots of questions coming through, and the team are starting to answer these. So that's brilliant. Let's have a look. So we also had one about, can you help me with time management? Yes, Gaynor, that's one of her things that she has in her basket of tools. Helping people with time management. That might be something that's sort of a lot on people's minds at the moment, starting a university course. Maybe you've got some work going on as well. Maybe you've got placements coming up. Maybe you've got just family and life anyway, as well as study. So the learning skills team are often asked to go out into modules with you and do some things about time management. But also on our Learning Skills Hub that we mentioned, we have a mini module that's dedicated to time management, and the link has been posted there in the Q&A for you. So there's a little mini module on time management, so some containing lots of tips or strategies on how to manage your time whilst you're studying and doing all the other things that we have to do in our life, as well as our assignments and things like that. Okay. We have also had a question about how do we physically take a book out of the library? So this person's seen the scanners in the library. That's quite right. You don't these days, it's very rare these days to walk up to a desk with a book and give it to a librarian and get it stamped and anything like that. We're much more digital these days, which is really useful when we're open till 1 o'clock in the morning. So that's what you need your student ID card for. Once you've got that, then you can go into the library building, and it's not too dissimilar to being in a supermarket. You get your book, you go up to the self-service machine, you will scan your card in, not your credit card, just your ID card. So you scan your card in, you put your book on the machine, it will do its stuff and issue that book to you, and then you can walk out of the library building with it. So if you're in the library buildings and you think, I really want to borrow a book, I'm not sure about this technology, I've never used it before, just ask one of us and we'll come and give you a demonstration of how to use the machines. But I promise it's very like being in a supermarket. Okay, let me have a little look through the list of questions now. What else have we got? Oh, we had, how do we do an online search? An online library search would be through that resource that we called Library Search. That's our digital tool. So the link has gone into the Q&A here, and we've got some information on how to get started with using that online search as well. And you'll probably find that at some point your librarian will come out into your lectures and your seminars and will work on that with you. So look at doing an online search with you and teaching you all the different things about the system and how to find information effectively. So library search is the thing you need to do a search for information. Okay. So are there library services available to use at the Medway campus, even though my lectures are based in Canterbury? Yes. So if you are what we might call a Canterbury student, so you're coming here into the Canterbury classrooms for a lesson, but actually you live nearer to Medway, or maybe you have family connections that way and it's easier for you to go up to Medway and use the Drill Hall Library, you can do. You just need your student ID card with you to scan in and out of the library doors. As long as you've got that, you can go and use all the different libraries. So Medway, Canterbury or Tunbridge Wells, as long as you've got that student ID card. Okay. So someone's asked, while signing onto a PC, a computer, which password and username should be used? You should, in the process of registration, maybe before you arrived on campus, have set up your Canterbury Christ Church computing account. So you'll have a username and password. Your username is probably something like some initials and then maybe 2 or 3 numbers. That's the username that you'll need to use, and then whatever password you've set up. And we've popped into the links there some link to the IT information that's online. So you don't need anything different to use the library search tools or to borrow a book. All you need to use the library digital tools is your Canterbury Christ Church username and password. There's nothing different. Okay. Oh, another excellent question. Do we have to pay for printing journal articles? No. So what we have in place for the last 2 years is a fair use policy. So printing is free. Unless someone notices that you seem to be starting your own publishing company with the printers, and then they might just investigate as to what you're printing. But we pretty much offer a fair use policy. And lots of people do stuff online these days rather than printing all sorts of things out. But it depends how you like to study. Some of us still like to have a bit of paper and scribble notes all over it. Okay, let's see, what else have we got come through here? Do we pay a fee to borrow books? No. Borrowing from the library is free. Just so you know that. Yes, okay, so do libraries open during holidays and weekends or just term times? We're open pretty much all year round. We close when the university closes mostly, but there will be some opening hours over Christmas and things like that. We generally do that. Always check the website. We've got 3 libraries all operating ever so slightly different opening hours, so always check the website for anything that you think you might want to do during holidays or weekends or whatever. So yes, we are open on the weekend. Okay. There's a question here. Do we have to submit the assignment at the library, not direct to the course lead? Don't submit any assignments to the library people. There's not much we can do with them. Your tutors will explain to you how you submit an assignment. More often than not, it's through Blackboard, which is your virtual learning environment. So no need to bring your assignments to us. Another question. There's loads of fantastic questions in here. Are we able to access the journals at home via the internet? Yes. Wherever you can sort of get on Wi-Fi and log in as with your username and password, you can access our materials. So you could be on the beach in Saint-Tropez, and as long as you've got Wi-Fi and you're logged in, you can read the latest journal articles if you really wanted to. Let's see, what else have we got? Can you return books in any of the libraries? Yes, you can. So you can borrow a book in Canterbury and then realise, actually, I'm at Medway for the next 2 weeks, and return it at the Drillhall Library if you want to. Can we take multiple books out of the library at once? Yes, you can. You can borrow lots of books. You can borrow 20 items that can go out for 4 weeks. You can borrow 10 items that go out for 7 days. And you can borrow 20 items from their curriculum resources collection as well, which I always think sounds like a trolley full of books. Always certainly too many to carry. So yes, lots of books you can borrow. And as well as the physical books you borrow from the library, you can also access the ebooks online as well. Okay. Oh, okay. Are you able to make book recommendations for particular courses, for example, anatomy and physiology? Yes. So the most times you'll see recommendations are in your module reading lists, and your tutors, as they introduce you to your modules sort of from next week onwards, will show you where your reading list is, and that's the books that they've recommended. We can show you sections in the library where you'll find books on those particular topics, and in our subject guides that we've posted, there are some hints about resources and things that you can use. So we've got some lovely resources for anatomy and physiology. So yes, book recommendations happen through your reading lists, but we can also direct you into certain texts and resources as well. Okay. Oh, you said there is no fine for returning books back late. How do you encourage people to return books? If you need a book that is on loan to somebody else, you can reserve it through library search. The person who has that book will be emailed and say to them, please could they bring it back by a particular date. If they don't bring it back on time, they'll be blocked from borrowing anything else until they do return it. So we don't charge fines, no cash is changing hands. If someone doesn't bring a book back on time, we just sort of block them from borrowing anything else. And that's usually more than enough for them to go, oh, actually, I need to return that book. Okay, let's see. Are you available to proofread school essays? We can't proofread anything for you, but we can give you hints and tips on doing your own proofreading of your own assignments. But our learning skills team, particularly our learning developers, they offer support with sort of aspects of essay writing, so how to structure paragraphs. There's support available in terms of academic English, so how to use a kind of academic language in your assignment. And we offer support on referencing well, which is one of the conventions that you'll use in your academic writing. So we don't proofread, but we give you lots of tips on how you can do proofreading on your own. And there is a module in the Learning Skills Hub on proofreading. Okay, I'm going to go through a few more of these, but I'm conscious of time as well. If I want to take books home, how long can I borrow them for? Depends on the book. You might be able to have it for 7 days or 4 weeks. They're all labelled, and you'll see that when you go to the library shelves. There's a question about parking at Medway, and the answer there is you can request for a parking permit for the Medway campus. So that's something to investigate if you want to do that. Make sure you do that maybe before next week. Is there a way to search online to find out which room or shelf a physical book is located in the library? Yes. When you search online, you'll be given a class mark for the book. The class mark is basically the book's address in the library. So you'll go to the shelf that matches the number on the class mark, and you'll find it that way. If you're ever in the library and something like class marks and which floor is the book on, which shelf is it on, please just ask somebody. Please just ask somebody. We will be happy to help you. Okay. Oh, just up there, I've just seen. Can I bring my child whilst looking to borrow or return a book? You can. Just sign them in at the reception desks, because that's really important. We've got to know that there are children in the building, because it's usually only adults in the building. So you must sign them in as a visitor when you visit the library. At the Drill Hall Library, there's a dedicated family room with some resources that you might find helpful to work in there for a bit. At Canterbury, we've got sort of the stress list resources, so lots of puzzles and games that you might want to use to engage children in whilst you're trying to do some other bits and pieces. But there's no creche service. You can't leave a child with a member of the library team. We're not allowed to do that, I'm afraid. Okay, a few more things coming in. I'll go through these. I know my team are working really, really hard on answering all these. Are there online versions of all the same books in the libraries? No, is the very short answer. Let's elaborate on that though. There are lots and lots of books that we have available as ebooks, thousands of them, and you can find those through library search. But not all publishers produce an ebook version. Sometimes they just only produce a printed book, in which case that's what we've bought and it lives in the library. And sometimes, well, academic information, so books and journal articles, are a big business for publishers. So sometimes they make their ebooks available at very high prices. So wherever possible, we will buy an ebook version, but sometimes there just isn't one to buy, I'm afraid. So sometimes you will need the printed book. Okay, when borrowing a book online, is there a limit to how many people can borrow that one book at one time, or is it unlimited? Depends on the book. Some publishers will let everybody come in and read the book at the same time. Other ones will want us to form an orderly queue to use that book. But library search will tell you what's happening when you try to access the ebook. Okay, let's see. A couple of things I think I've just missed as we were waiting for replies to come in. Let's have a look. If you've got any questions, please do post them. We'll wrap up soon enough. Oh, can we download ebooks as PDFs? Usually yes, but it's often only temporary. You usually can't keep the PDF permanently. It's all publisher restrictions, so you can quite often download one chapter per ebook permanently though, but it depends on the publisher and the restrictions they have set. So when you go to the ebooks, you'll see all that. It'll all pop up on the screen. Is there a limited amount of books you can take out? I think earlier on we had the thing about 20. It's definitely at least 20. It's armfuls of books that you can take out sometimes, probably more than you need really. And a few more questions are coming in. We will answer everything before we leave today, don't worry. What have we got? Yes, this is a really excellent question. I'm glad someone has asked it. Are there any job opportunities for students at the library? We have opportunities for people to become library champions, and library champions will help us with events that we put on. So they might come in and help us out with our stressless activities. So sometimes we do hot chocolate afternoons, or we do board game activities, biscuit decorating, all that sort of thing. So you might come in and help us with that. The link is in that chat answer there of how to do that. We currently don't offer paid employment for that though, fortunately. There we are. So there are opportunities to get involved with the library. Okay, can I access the online library when I'm out of the UK? Yes, if you're on Wi-Fi and you can log in. There are probably few countries around the world that might block access to particular sites. I haven't been to all the countries in the world, but yet ideally, yes, you can. Okay, a few more questions just coming through here. Ooh, there's another one coming in about ebooks. Let's get some of these things coming up. Okay, so we've got a few questions coming in here. How do we top up our cards for printing? You don't need to, because printing is just on a sort of fair use policy now, so you can go and print if you need to. That's fine. We've got a question about, if you reserve a book, how long does it take to receive it after placing the reservation? All just depends on when the other person brings the book back, hopefully in a nice timely manner. We're just getting an answer up for that one on the screen, so you'll be able to see all the details. What else have we got happening here? A few more things coming through. Oh, what is the best way to read an ebook? The text is so small. Yes, they're not always fun to read on a mobile phone, an academic ebook, but most of them, as far as I know, will have technology so you can zoom in and out of the text and adjust the text size or the background. And quite a lot of the ebooks have the ability for you to have them read aloud as well, if that helps too. So definitely different accessibility options on the ebooks there. But yes, I myself, I can't read one on a mobile phone. Other than that, I'm fine. But yeah, it's all different ways of working out how we like to study. Okay, let's see what else have we got. A couple of things still coming in. Okay, just going back to that one about, if you reserve a book, how long does it take to receive it after placing the reservation? It will be available almost as soon as a copy is returned. So you might place a request on Monday morning, maybe someone returns one on Tuesday, you'll get that one. If it's out with another library user, it will take a few days possibly just to get back in and maybe get to your home library. But we will let you know what's happening, so you'll know. And as soon as it comes in, you'll get an email. Okay. Are we able to bring a friend that doesn't go to the uni to the library with us? You can bring other people into the library. Obviously, they can't access the PCs really. They won't be able to borrow any resources. But you need to sign them in at the reception desk. You must do that. Anyone that hasn't got a smart card needs to go to the reception desk and be signed in. Okay. Another question here. Can I download? Can I download the 2 ebooks recommended to read before the course starts from Library Search? So if we have those books as ebooks, if you've been recommended something and you think, oh, I want to read that now, as long as you've gone through your registration process and you've got your computing account and everything, then you can try logging into Library Search and searching for those ebooks. If you're looking for something particular in Library Search, you might want to try author's surname and a bit from the title in your search box. Just see. Okay, so I think, can't see any new questions coming in. I think we've answered about 49 or so questions. I will say now that you are welcome to post any more if you need to, or hopefully we've answered everything you wanted to know about the library. Can't see anything new coming in. So whilst I just give you a last final few moments, I'm going to say thank you for joining us today and for joining in the interactive activities and posting such lovely questions in the Q&A panel there for us to answer. Hope you found it useful. So thank you to the team that have been with me. So thank you to Gaynor for co-hosting. Thank you to all the team who've been working on the answers for the Q&A as well. You've certainly kept us busy in this event, and I'm so glad that you could join us. I hope you found it really useful and that you found it useful to see all the answers in the chat there as well. Okay, so just as a reminder, if you wanted to come back and see any of the recording again, you can do that with the link that you use to join this event, or we'll put a copy up on the Welcome Hub anyway on the web pages for you to go back and view. Okay, so we haven't had any more questions come in. So what we're going to do is we're going to say goodbye. I'm going to wish you luck for your journey at Christ Church. Gaynor and myself, you will see us in various lectures in your different modules, and you may even come to see us for one-to-one appointments over the years. So the best of luck with your study. Hope you really enjoy it and get the most out of the library whilst you're at Christ Church, and enjoy the rest of your day.